So, with my journey, I can tell you that I am really never impressed by titles or power of position when I meet people or hear about them. If I do meet someone who seems really together and popular, I am not impressed either. I want to see who they really are. What is their story, is really what I'm thinking. How did they get to where they are? Has it always been about money and recognition or something deeper? And what has made them who they are? I do know that one of my top 5 strengths is context, which means you look back to find answers to understand the present. Context helps me make decisions. Much more recently in my life, I regularly get to meet, collaborate, and work with some of the most amazing people. Yes, I did say amazing, but wait, I will get back to that shortly. I want to go backwards and let's start at the beginning for me. The beginning of my story and how I was molded by my circumstances. And then so you can see where I'm coming from and maybe help you remind you of your vulnerabilities, maybe to offer yourself some grace. So, for many years, I was an only child. I was the product of a divorced household, and only my 17-year-old mother was present after just a few months of my life. And since my biological father was very abusive, my mom didn't really know how to love me affectionately, which resulted in verbal and emotional abuse in my house. So I have known well abandonment and loneliness all my life. When I was in 5th grade, life began to change in many ways, and I gained a stepdad and a brother and a sister on the weekends. But the worst was when an older boy began touching me inappropriately and doing things to me that I did not understand. So, also, I have known sexual abuse too early. And I told no one until adulthood, and it took me years to work through this damage that had all been started in me. All of that was my normal. And then as I got older, the shame that I would feel because of choices that I would make, the things that I allowed. I carried and have known the weight of shame far too long. We all have tragedies, right? Traumas, trials that we experience through life. And maybe you can even relate to some of my story. We all have different normals, and these normals are not necessarily good or healthy for us. As we live out our life, especially as we get older, we have choices to process and heal or ignore and just survive. And by the way, not doing anything or ignoring is also a choice. Common statements are made about how we just need to forget about it and move on, right? Or just get over it. But this is skipping the opportunity to find wholeness and the treasure in those trials and really allowing the trial to cause more damage. I have suffered so much pain, yet I have met so many that have suffered way more than me. This doesn't lessen my pain, but it does encourage me that I can get through anything. It's probably why I also started the Life Empowered podcast, where I invite you into others' stories of struggle, defeat, and loss, and how they have come through to where they are today. Did you catch that bio of mine? If not, I founded and run a nonprofit whose mission is about loving, restoring, and supporting women recovering from sex trafficking and exploitation. Yes, for some of you, a fog may just have gone over your head. I get it. You hear of this crime, but you have no understanding of how this is happening to people in your own backyard. It may seem huge and even overwhelming to process, but I want to submit something to you, that pain is pain. The loneliness, shame, rejection, loss, abuse, our pains are all things that we can relate to in some level. But also, restoration is restoration, no matter the details. You see, my vulnerabilities made me ripe for the picking, for more abuse and traumas, and even for being manipulated into sex trafficking. But thankfully, that did not happen to me. Those who have been trafficked, it all started with their vulnerability, like mine, like yours. Vulnerabilities like age, dreams, abuse, financial struggle. It goes on, right? And in trafficking, some manipulating them into doing unthinkable things. We all can be vulnerable at different times of our lives. It's not just when we're young, right? We can experience a lot of pain and suffering as we grow. The people that we let close to us, like family, romantic relationships, friendships. Since starting Redeem and Restore Center, I get to meet and collaborate and work with some of the most amazing people. I am most impressed by survivors of sex trafficking that have walked the hard journey of restoration, because they are people that have been broken in so many ways, often beyond even our own understanding, but they are still human. And under all that baggage and facade that they may show, they needed to be seen, valued, and supported to find real restoration. Let me say that again. They needed to be seen, valued, and supported to find real restoration. I'm so impressed by what they have already survived. And now that they courageously choose to look back and process through lies, the unfairness, the evil, the overwhelming pains, unresolved issues, grief, losses. Why would they put themselves through that? But it's so they could find the truth, to see that they are worth so much more, to find hope, to find peace, to even dream, to see that they could have been created to be uniquely beautiful, to know joy, to really be fully alive, to be fully human and begin to believe and understand that they were created to be beautiful and have real purpose, just like you and I desire. Life isn't about, right, just getting a job, paying your bills, and getting through the day. That's just settling for another way of survival. I am more than impressed, really. I'm inspired personally that I can get through anything. I mean, if they can do more than just survive the hell that they've gone through, how can I have any excuses to not fight through? How can you? You can decide to choose to grow, to choose to change, so that you can find joy again and live wholehearted. I am inspired to continue the work that I get to do, because I can be a part of seeing more amazing women walk through their journey to joy. There are so many opportunities for you to learn from your past, your pains, your circumstances, your losses. I am the first to complain about the process. Oh, and whine about the process. But to really live, life is a continual process. You can choose to be intentional, not just on the defense and surviving all that's thrown at you. Our culture often has trained us to find the quick fix, settle for easy, or take a pill. But to really come through the struggle or situation, it takes your investment in time with your mind, emotions, and your spirit. They are interconnected and must be processed together. You can decide to choose to recognize unhealthy issues or triggers. You can choose to be brave and courageous and even face them with truth and grace for yourself. You are worth the time. You are worth the investment. You are worthy of joy. You can live wholehearted. You can have more joy along your journey. I have read many books. I've attended support groups. I've attended trainings. I've learned from others who've walked similar journeys. I found security in learning and knowing my Creator loves me and has shown himself faithful to me when all others have failed. I will continue to learn and grow in my journey through life, fighting to live wholeheartedly and have joy, to always look, to learn, to find the treasure in each trial. So you may wonder, what are some of the treasures that are from my pain and my suffering from growing up? Well, I have found that I am very independent and I work hard. I persevere through struggle and do not give up without a fight. I've experienced God's faithfulness to never leave me or forsake me. I fight to show others of their value. I lead an organization that is about being consistent in showing love and support to the most rejected and lonely people around. And I am thankful for each one of those things. To give you a little idea of the list of tools that I highly recommend, one, when you are really suffering and maybe not even have words to express, reading the Psalms in the Bible, they're called laments. You can read them and they can be, you can relate to those prayers. To Be Told by Dan Allender, and it's really about learning the importance of your story and how that you look at your story and how you can grow in your journey. Boundaries is another book that all of us can learn from and practice regularly for healthy relationships. Maybe even a counselor, a life coach, or a specialist. Small groups for support, friendship, and growing. Do you remember what I said? How the survivors, they need support. They need people around you. You can't do this yourself. You need to find the right people around you. Journal your thoughts. Sometimes just getting them out of your head, they become smaller, less scary once you write them down. One last word before our reflective question. Please don't settle to just survive. I want you to believe today that you are worth the investment. I don't want you to miss living a full life wholeheartedly and to experience joy or more joy. Right now, I'm going to play some instrumental music and give you about a minute to think about this question. The reflection question is there a place in your life where you have settled to survive and missed the treasure from processing through the pain?